Good morning, everyone. How is it doing this Sunday? Um, I was running late this morning, but doing really well. Did you guys have a good Thanksgiving? That's good. We had food delivered to us, and it was really yummy, and I probably ate too much. Um, so last week we went and talked about a prophet named Jeremiah and how God made a promise of a Savior coming. And he told the people that. And we also talked that it was 500 years later before that actually happened. So now we're going to listen today about a man named Zechariah and then a woman named Elizabeth and a promise that God told them and see how they react to that promise as well. That is in Luke. It is chapter 1. And we're going to read verses 5 through, that's a long one, 25. Okay? But first, before we do this, I want to play a little game of charades. All right? So, have you guys ever played charades? What is the one rule you can't do when you play charades? Do you know? Do you know? When you play charades, oh, there's something on my face. Awesome. When you play charades, you cannot talk. All right? So I'm going to be the one acting it out. We're going to see if you can guess or if Harper can guess what this is. I didn't tell her about this beforehand, but this is going to be a Christmas song. Okay? So you ready? All right. So I'm going to go. Now if I hold up a finger, that means like 2 words, 3 words, 4 words. Okay? All right. I don't have any guesses on there, and she's as quiet as a mouse, which is actually part of the thing. It's silent. So the first one was silent. And then the second one was night, because I don't know how to make night. So we were just sleeping, because we sleep at night. Okay? So Silent Night was the name of the actual charade game. So, or the song for the Christmas song. All right. So do you guys remember we talked about last week too? So we talked about Jeremiah and how he's a prophet and God gave him a message about the Messiah coming. And we also talked about what this week is going to start. Do you remember? We had the candles at the very beginning counting down for us to start. That's called Advent. So we had the Advent candles. So this is the first week of Advent. All right. So now we're going to start anticipating Christ's birth, right? So we're going to anticipate Christ's birth. So let's remember that this week, as this is the beginning of Advent. So now we're all going to get we're getting really excited. Christmas is coming. We get to celebrate Jesus' birthday. Okay. So we're going to talk about Zechariah and Elizabeth. And like I was talking about earlier, it's Luke chapter 1, verses 5 through 25. Okay. I'm going to move this over here. In the time of Herod, king of Judea, there was a priest named Zechariah who belonged to the priestly division, and his wife Elizabeth was also a descendant of Aaron. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, serving all of the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. Once, when Zechariah's division was on duty, and he was serving as a priest before God, he was chosen by lot, according to the custom of the priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time came for burning of incense, all the assembled worshipers were praying outside. So I'm going to stop right there for a second because this is a lot of words, so I want to kind of describe what's going on so far. So we have a priest named Zechariah, and his wife's name is Elizabeth. Okay? And they followed the Lord. That's what it was saying. It said that they were righteous in the sight of God. That means they listened to his rules and his laws, and they followed him. But the only thing is that they were childless. They didn't have any kids, and they wanted kids, and they were both very old. Okay? So then it said that Zechariah had to do his priestly duties. So that included going to the temple, which is the church, and he would have to light and burn incense, which is like the stuff that smells, and it makes a lot of smoke. It has a fragrance with it. And when the time came to burning it, all the people from that area that goes to that temple would go outside of the temple and pray while he was in there doing that. Okay? And what do you think they were praying about? What do you think? I think they were probably praying that they were going to get the Messiah, because that is a promise that God made, remember, and God keeps his promises. I bet they were praying for a Messiah, praying for, just relief, things like that. All right, so we've got that going on so far. Then an angel of the Lord appeared to him, standing on the right side of the altar of the incense. When Zechariah saw him, he was startled and he was gripped with fear. But the angel said to him, "Do not be afraid, Zechariah. Your prayer has been heard. Your wife, Elizabeth, will bear a son, and you are to call him John. He will be a joy and delight to you, and many will rejoice because of his birth, for he will be great in the sight of the Lord. He is to never take wine or other fermented drink, and he will be filled with the Holy Spirit even before he is born. He will bring back many people of Israel to the Lord their God." Oh my goodness, that's a lot of information. So right now we're learning that the angel of the Lord appeared to him, and we're going to find out his name. I know his name, and I'm thinking you probably know his name too, so just think of what the angel's name is. That's okay. And so the angel of the Lord appeared to Zechariah, and what did he was scared. That would be scary, I bet. I don't know the size of an angel, but I'm sure they're very bright. I've heard, in many different readings that they were bright. They were quite the presence when you would see an angel of the Lord. So it scared him. But the angel told him not to be afraid, right? And they gave him the news that he was going to be a dad and Elizabeth was going to be a mom. And they were going to have this child, and they were going to name him John. And that he was going to be this wonderful guy, and he's going to do all this work for the Lord and bring people to the Lord. So that would be some crazy news for, you've prayed for a son. Not only have you prayed for a son, but you're going to get a son that is going to do these wonderful things for the Lord. And that is awesome. So Zechariah asked the angel, "How can I be sure of this? I am an old man, and my wife is well along in years." The angel said to him, "I am Gabriel. I stand in the presence of God, and I have been sent to speak to you and tell you this good news. And now you will be silent, not able to speak until the day this happens, because you did not believe my words, which will come true at their appointed time." Okay, so even though Zechariah was a faithful man and listened to the Lord's word and followed his laws, when the angel gave him this news, he didn't believe him. Zechariah didn't believe him. And so because the angel let him know he was Gabriel too, that was the angel's name, and because he was, and I lost my train of thought. Sorry, my daughter handed me something. Because he didn't believe what Gabriel had to say, Gabriel said that he is no longer able to speak. So a priest who talks to people for a living is no longer able to say anything until this comes true. So until the baby's born, until John's born. Meanwhile, the people were waiting for Zechariah and wondering why he stayed so long in the temple. When he came out and could not speak to them, they realized that he had seen a vision in the temple, for he kept making signs to them but remained unable to speak. When his time of service was completed, he returned home. After this, his wife Elizabeth became pregnant and for 5 months remained in seclusion. "The Lord has done this for me," she said, In these days, he has shown his favor and taken away my disgrace among the people. So Elizabeth, again, was extremely excited that she was able to have a baby, or she's getting pregnant with a baby, and that she was rejoicing that the Lord found favor in her, which means that he did this because of her faithfulness. She got rewarded for her faithfulness. And so that was great for her. So in this story, we're going to kind of review this a little bit, point out a couple things. Okay. So in this, we start off, like we talked about, Zechariah, and what was his wife's name? Do you remember his wife's name? I need this in case someone answers questions, please. Thank you. All right. Zechariah and his wife is named Elizabeth, and they had what? They didn't have any children. So they had no children, and Zechariah was what did he do for a living? What was he? He was a priest. He was a priest. So they had no children, and then he went to the temple, and then he was burning incense. And what did the people do outside of the temple when he was burning the incense? They would pray. And so they prayed, and then something appeared. What appeared? An angel appeared, good, and his name was Gabriel. The angel Gabriel appeared. And was Zechariah excited, or was he scared? He was scared, that's right. He was scared that this angel was here. So the angel told him the good news that he was going to have a son, and his name was going to be John. And I'm going to tell you who this John guy is. It's actually John the Baptist. So if you've heard about him or remember about him, he's the one that ends up baptizing who? Who does John the Baptist baptize? He baptizes Jesus. So they're letting him know that they don't know this yet, but that they're going to have a son named John. And did Zechariah believe him? Yes. No, he didn't believe him at all. He didn't believe him. And because he didn't believe him, what happened? He wasn't able to speak. He couldn't speak. And so the angel told him he wasn't going to be able to speak again until this came to pass. Okay? So until the baby was there, he wasn't going to be able to speak. So he returned home and told Elizabeth the good news, and she didn't really question him much. She just said, bless the Lord in his favor, right? So she conceived, and they're going to have a baby. So that's exciting. So Gabriel came and delivered this message, and God promised them a son, and God made good on his promise, just like he always does. So I want you to remember that. Let me take a drink here. So in this story, what I want you to remember, besides the little details, because they're really neat to know, is while we wait and knowing that what we know now, while we wait, let's be faithful and trust and obey what God has told us through his word. So we get his word through the Bible, okay? We don't necessarily get these different visions all the time, but the word is here in this Bible. In our Bible, God lets us know what we need to be doing, what's going to come, what has happened. And so we need to trust his word and obey and trust in him. Okay? So that's what we want to take home from this, because Zechariah didn't believe at first. He got punished. He couldn't speak. So what I want us to do is remember Elizabeth, remember Zechariah, and that the amazing thing that happened with the message of Gabriel, and that they were going to have a baby named John the who? What was his name? John the Baptist. All right. So next week, what we're going to do is we are going to continue on with these different prophecies, these different promises from God. And we're going to learn about the biggest promise that we're going to hear next week. Who do you think we're going to talk about next week in the promise? I'll give you a hint. Her name starts with an M. So that's who we're going to learn about next week. All right, so let's remember that Advent is the anticipation of Jesus' birth. This is the start of the Advent season. And let's get excited for Christmas to come because Jesus' birthday is on Christmas, and he's the one who saved us